Hello everybody, my name is Margaret. Welcome to Margs' mini mic. I was not planning on using this mic. I was actually planning on using this mic because it's obviously fancier and probably way better quality, but unfortunately it does not plug into my laptop currently. Yay Apple. But there we are. So today I would like to introduce myself. I'm 20. I'm 20 years old, and I am super interested in nutrition. So I'm hoping to make this page as just kind of a goal of mine. I don't really know where I'm starting, but in the future, I'd really like to have a channel that can help people learn about nutrition in a really basic way. I'm trying to think way back to when I didn't know anything and trying to give that same basic information to all of you all. And I'm excited to get started because I've loved YouTube forever and I love the nuance that it brings with its long form content. And that's it. So let's get started. All right. So step one in trying to be healthier in terms of nutrition. For me, I have prioritized. The first step is trying to determine if you have an E to the D, shall I say, because I have watched some YouTubers on here trying to get some advice on how to make this content, but unfortunately, there are some things that YouTube likes to censor. So do what you will about that. And with that being said, I think that understanding if you have one of these things or if you have disordered schmeating, um, that is step one, honestly, because if you have an issue with that, then you are going to need some help outside of yourself. And I think for that, you need to probably end up going to a doctor or a therapist, something along those lines. I actually don't really know too much about that, but I think the step one is probably getting a diagnosis or trying to help the internal portion of eating well. So that is my step one. Two, I really hope you don't have to deal with step one, so let's move on. And so step two is increasing your dietary fiber. I do think this is one of the most important things that we all need to do, especially if you're from America, because I know most of us are not getting enough, and pretty much all across the world people are not getting enough. I will insert a statistic here about how crazy it is. It's somewhere around 90%, I'm pretty sure, of people are not getting enough fiber. So that it will be the first one to do. And talking about that, I think the very first thing that you need to be aware of when trying to increase your fiber intake is doing it slowly. Because if you do it too fast, your gut buggies down there, the good ones that you're trying to feed, are not going to be used to having way more than what you're used to. So basically, you want to start small. You want to increase maybe 5 grams more than you usually have and see how that goes. Do that for a week or two, see how it goes, and then up again another 5 the week after that. And until you reach the limit, which I'm pretty sure, or I guess it's not the limit, it's the recommended daily allowance, which is around 28 for women and 38 for men, I believe. I will fact check this. But more is also beneficial. There's also tons of research that show that with each increase of fiber in your diet, a huge decrease in your mortality. So that's pretty cool. No brainer, right?
And now I will be going through some of my favorite fiber sources.
Just so you can get an idea of what some options are for that. So, one that I think of immediately is avocado. I love avocado toast, put it in your bowls, guacamole. That's a great one because it's also a good source of healthy fats too. So that's a great one. Raspberries are the highest fiber berry, I think. Along with pretty much any other berry has a lot of fiber, but I think raspberries are the top notch for that. And now that I remembered, with berries and stuff, those things can be expensive, right? Get the frozen ones. They're way cheaper, and they last forever, and they have the same, if not better, nutritional quality since they're frozen at peak ripeness. So that's a great hack for that. and then like nuts and seeds. So any sort of nut butter, or if you like sprinkle some seeds on top of your meal, your salad, whatever. That's actually pretty good. And speaking of salad, there's also a misconception that lettuce itself has a ton of fiber. And for most of the times, that's not actually true. It doesn't have that much. It's still, don't get me wrong, lettuce is still really good for you. You want your leafy greens. It's just, it tends to be so low in calories and just like substance overall that there's not usually a ton of fiber with it, but I will give some exceptions right here. I'd say that I think iceberg lettuce is the main one that people are thinking of when it comes to that. But yeah, so there, and then let me think. Chia seeds, another big one. Flax seeds, those are like two that you can really like kind of mix into anything. I know chia seeds, some people have texture issues, so flax might be a little bit better for that. Psyllium husk is great. It's basically the same thing. I think it's Metamucil. Same thing as Metamucil. That one's really good. Or cereals. This one's my personal favorite because almost every other day I will have a yogurt bowl for breakfast. And in that yogurt bowl, I love to add some Kashi Go cereal. And that one has protein and fiber in it. So those are the two big boys. You probably already heard all about protein, but fiber is also very important, as you just now know. And those cereals, particularly any whole grain cereal, usually has a lot of good fiber in it. But again, like be careful if there are things that have a ton of added fiber into it, just make sure that you can handle it. And when I think about that, I also think about the tortillas. If you get like a keto tortilla, those are usually like made of like fiber basically instead of like regular flour. And those can have like your whole day or like half a day's worth of fiber in there. So you just want to be careful with that. And I will do a whole video too on all the different types of fibers that I like, including like more so, just more in depth. But those are just some of the ones that I think about and just try to add in a little bit of those in your day to day life. Step three. So, step three, honestly, I had a hard time deciding what this could be because there are lots of different options, but I think I'm going to go with the general mindset around food. I think in general, we need to be less stressed and more excited about things. I don't know about you, but I get excited about food. I think it's fun. And I love to cook. I think cooking is a big part of it. If you've got the time, that's a great thing. But I think in general, we need to be focusing on having fun with our foods. And in that sense, we can try to be making recipes that excite us that are still gonna help us achieve our goals, and that could include being adding more fiber like before, or potentially more protein as well. Right now I am trying to add more protein to my diet because I am trying to build muscle and I am trying to enhance my muscle building protein synthesis, I believe, something along those lines. I'm not as well versed in terms of the specific verbiage in terms of building muscle and all that. But I do know that if you go to the gym and if you work hard and you're going to failure, progressive overload, and you're eating enough protein, then you can build muscle, which is great for you in many ways. So that is my personal goal right now. I know lots of other people might be having that one too because it is very good for you. Um, and so yeah, I think it's just important that we just start adding things to our food instead of like me stopping eating a bunch of different things. I think it's more important to say like I'm going to start basing my diet around these things that are going to help me. Like I'm going to start eating more Greek yogurt, more cottage cheese, more smoothies with protein powder, or trying to eat more fish because that's a really good healthy source of protein to my diet, or tofu, or there's so many different options. And I think it's, yeah, that's probably the way to do it because you don't want to have to restrict yourself because that can get you into not a great mindset. And at least in my experience, that's been how it was. And I think that it's really helpful to just kind of reframe it. And I think if it works for you, like it's worked for me. I think the 80-20 rule is still really good. I think a lot of people will talk about it. And I do think that just looking overall at your diet as a whole, you just want to see the bigger picture, and that will help you not be stressed out, because stress is honestly just going to make everything worse. It's not going to be helping anything. So I think keeping a positive mindset is the most important when you're trying to achieve a goal. And that is all I will do today, just because I have been rambling on and on and on. So I will go into more depth about other things, like more nitty gritty about, like fiber and stuff like that. And yeah, we'll get started. I'll see you another day.